All right, Kyle, thank you. It is 6:31 new this morning. A Quincy firefighter says firefighters are 5 times more likely to die by suicide than in a house fire. Stop and think about that a minute.
Yeah, and that stems from traumatic experiences on the job. WGAM's Jack Polesnik joins us live at the Central Fire Station in Quincy with additional details. Jack, good morning.
Hey Kyle, good morning. I'm here at the fire station where many firefighters are dispatched to do their jobs. Now that can lead to unintended consequences regarding mental health. One lieutenant says incidents where kids or abuse are involved can be particularly traumatic. The trauma is something he tells me firefighters end up having to coexist with.
We can't just stop responding to these incidents because these are the ones where people really need our help. So what we have to do is we have to learn to live with it.
Twaddle says warning signs that a firefighter may not be doing well include social or work withdrawal, substance abuse, and depression. He says if a friend or loved one you know who is a firefighter, if they are a firefighter, to reach out and make sure that they're doing okay. Back to you.
Jack, thank you. He says the first step in treating mental health is acknowledging it needs treating in the first place.